I'm starting it now. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna back up then. So
Yeah.
we're gonna start the roll call. Ellen Liu. Okay. Alex Militano. Okay. Jesse Beck.
Here.
Herman Hewitt.
Here.
Paul Cieros. Did we lose Paul? Paul, if you're on, you just need to unmute yourself.
Right here.
Okay, thank you. David Crane.
Here.
Okay, thank you. All right, just one more reminder, sign up in the chat if you'd like to speak on an agenda item or at the public session at the end. Each community member will be given 2 minutes to speak on each agenda item, and any community group can choose 2 representatives at most to speak on any one agenda item. I'm going to ask the committee members if you could please try and limit yourself to 2 rounds of comments on any one agenda item. And I ask that everyone, community, committee, both, to please keep your comments germane to the agenda item we are discussing and save any other items for the public session. And I know we've got our parliamentarian David Crane here who will certainly jump in if any of us run afoul of that rule. So just so everyone knows, 3 applicants withdrew, but they might be back in a different month. So tonight we'll be considering 5 different applications, 2 upgrades for establishments that are currently licensed for wine beer, and 3 full new on-premises liquor licenses. How it's going to work is I will give a brief overview of each application and then drop the link for the full application in the Zoom chat. That's on the website in case anyone's looking for where that is, on the CB3 Manhattan website. And then the applicant will have a chance to correct their applications if there's anything that we need to correct since they've submitted them. Committee members will then have a chance to ask the applicants questions, and then the community will then have a chance to speak. After that, the committee will consider the resolution and will adopt for the application. And so those of you who don't know, Susan Stetzer, who is our district manager, will be here as a resource. This is a role that she has played for many years because she is the main contact with the relevant agency, so she can provide some context that we might not have from the committee. So Paul Rangel, is there a specific agenda item that you're seeing a lot of people are signing up for? I apologize if I didn't notice. I don't know if I saw anyone specific. Okay. So there are actually 2 applications tonight that I think will be a little easier to get through. The upgrades, that's number 3 and number 7. And if we see that there are any particular agenda items that people are signing up for, we might move that up just so that folks don't have to stay around too late. So I'm going to ask, is the applicant for number 3 Little Canal present?
Sorry, there
Yes.
are 2 people who specifically mentioned an item. I saw someone mentioning 4 and 8.
Okay.
But it was a brief skim through the chat.
Okay, but not like a significant number of people, or yes, lots of people.
No, one person for each.
Oh, everyone listed as Canal Condo are here for number 4. Okay. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll do 3, 7, and then 4, if that works. Just because I think 3 and 7 we can get through pretty quickly, and then those applicants won't have to stay on for that long. Okay, great. So are the applicants for Little Canal here?
Yes, Jeremy Barnes for Little Canal.
Frank Willow, also here.
Okay, great. So, okay, so this is an application for an upgrade from beer wine, as I mentioned, and I'm just going to drop the full application in the chat here so people can follow along if they'd like to. There you go. This is a upgrade plus an alteration of method of operation. They are keeping all of their same hours as currently operating, except for increasing the closure 1 hour on Thursday nights from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. They're located at 26 Canal Street and they've been operating there since 2016. And in terms of 311 calls, there was nothing in the past 2 years, and the office is unaware of any issues. Space Block Association, which works in that neighborhood, has already added in their support. They met with the applicants. So I'm just going to run through if there's anything else. They're going to be having an American menu. The kitchen will be open at all hours of their operation. They will close all their doors by 10 p.m. They're not going to be having any DJs, promote events, anything like that. They'll only be playing ambient recorded music. If they have any happy hours, it will end by 8 p.m. So does anyone on the committee have any questions about this application? David, your hand is up. Is that from before? Okay. Does anyone on the committee have any questions about this application to the applicants? And for the applicants that are here, did I say everything correctly? Is there anything that you need to correct from your application since you submitted it?
It sounded correct to me.
Me
Okay.
also.
Okay. The one thing that you did not, or I wanted to ask about is, will you commit to not, are you going to be using outdoor space beyond the open
We've
streets
only
program?
used, no,
Okay.
not, we are using open streets, but after COVID, no.
Okay.
So the answer is yes, we will be using it as long as we're allowed to.
Okay. And will you be having unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches with food?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, does the committee have any issues with this? Any questions they want to ask the applicant about?
Good, the good people.
Okay. All right, if you guys have nothing, I'm going to turn it over to the community. Is there anyone, Paul, did you see anyone that was here that wanted to speak on 26 Canal Street?
Sorry, I'm having trouble unmuting myself. Let me see.
I don't think I saw anyone, but if you could raise your hand if you were wanting to speak on this agenda item, please. Not seeing anybody.
Yeah, I don't see anyone.
Okay. So in terms of a resolution from the committee, I think we can be, they're basically going to be operating with their same stipulations as they currently have. As I mentioned, the one thing is changing their Thursday closing hour from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. So I have sort of like a form upgrade resolution. I don't think we need to go through the whole thing. It'll have all the relevant stipulations that we already discussed. They'll say something like, whereas this operator has been operating since 2016 and there have been no records of complaint to 311 in the past 2 years and no record of complaints to the community board. Whereas the upgrade will be operating with the same or similar stipulations as previously. Therefore, be it resolved, the community board 3 recommends the denial of the application for a full on-premises liquor license for this applicant for the premises located at 26 Canal Street, unless the applicant agrees to, before the SLA, to make as conditions of its license the following signed notarized stipulations, that the ones that we already discussed. So if I'm hearing nothing from the committee.
Michelle, could you include in there, because I've seen a couple of letters from the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard anybody got up and speak, but there are people from the community that we could mention that we receive letters of support.
So we received a letter of support from Space Block Association, but I believe that's the only email we received about this application. No, nothing opposed.
All right. No, it's just that it's mentioned, just in case people think that.
Yeah.
no response at all from the neighborhood.
Okay,
But
can
one
you,
of my,
okay.
one of my concerns usually is that we get something from the neighborhood, pro or con, and that we put it into our resolution.
okay, so Jesse, could you do you mind just adding that to the minutes, that space?
I do. I have the support
Okay,
space and no opposition as.
okay, fabulous, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, so if the committee sounds like there's no issues, I'm going to.
One moment.
Yes.
It sounded like Herman is interested in inserting it into the resolution. Herman, are you looking to make an amendment to the motion before we pass it?
Yeah.
Or did you want it entered into the minutes?
No, in the
Fact
resolution.
that the space. So he wants to make an amendment to the resolution that we add a whereas there was a letter of support from. Do we have typical language for that, Herman?
Well, we normally has that in most of the languages that it's just an insert. It's not a long stuff. The preamble that Michelle made, it's just included in that there were representation from the community and there was no opposition.
Okay,
The SLA actually appreciates knowing the group that the specific group supported. Met and
okay.
supported.
So can I, Herman, why don't I just propose something and let me know if this works. So whereas space block association, Susan, does it make sense to say met with the applicant and
No.
agreed to certain terms?
You could just say, and I would just say met with the and supports the application.
Okay. Application, and there were no community members in opposition.
Right.
Okay. Is everyone on the committee, David, can we just do a voice vote on that? If there's anyone that opposes the amendment?
No,
It's always a voice vote.
Okay. David, you're muted if you're trying to talk to us, but no. Okay, so no opposition to that amendment from the
you
committee.
should do a roll call.
I'll do that for the whole agenda, right? Or sorry, for the whole resolution.
Oh.
Okay. Do I need a motion to vote on this, David? I
Yes.
can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to vote on this resolution?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Okay. I will now take roll call. Ellen Liu. Alex Militano. Jesse Beck.
Yes.
Herman Hewitt.
Yes.
Paul Siros.
Yes.
David Crane, if you're having trouble with, you can just give me a thumbs up. We can't hear you. Okay, thank you. Okay, the resolution passes. So tomorrow, the office will send you guys, the applicants, the stipulations to sign and notarize.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah,
What do
Do you hear me now?
yes. Sorry, Jesse, go ahead.
So it's 5 yes, 2 absent, right?
Yes, sorry, I forgot to call myself. I'm a yes.
Thanks.
Who should the resolution be sent to? You, Jeremy, or
Frank Palillo.
Frank? Okay.
Great, thanks.
We'll get all that from the application.
No, but sometimes they change their mind in the middle of. That's why.
What?
That's why I won. I don't want to give him a chance to change his mind.
Okay, so you guys can hear me then?
Yes, we can hear
Have
you,
I fixed
David.
my headphones? Okay, good. So about a motion to be able to proceed to a vote, that is not required because what needs to happen is the moment that we introduce a possible motion, the language of it, you say, I move that we adopt a motion to say, blah, 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 blah. That is the main motion. There may be an amendment to it, as there was now, but then you say, if there's no further discussion, we will vote. You don't need a motion at the very end. What you need is the motion at the beginning.
Okay.
And it's really just a technicality. Okay.
Okay, fabulous. Well, thank you both for coming to the meeting. We will send you, the office will send you the stipulations tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 7, which is the other upgrade application. Trapizzino are the applicants here. Let's see. All right. I don't see anyone signed in. Let me just look at the questionnaire.
I don't see anyone.
Yeah. Should be, let me just look and see if I see the principals' names, but I don't hear them. So, all right. So they
Could
lost
you
their
put it
chance.
at-
Sorry?
We could put that at the bottom just in case they show up later, just in case. We
Oh
just
yeah,
pass
I'm
it
sure that
over.
they probably thought they'd be called later because they're number 7. So they've lost their chance for a fast track tonight. Okay, so I think then we'll go on to number 4 because I believe that was the one that the most people were here for. Is that right, Paul? Yeah.
Yeah, 4 seems to be the number 1.
Okay, so same as last time. I will just run through this. Let me just pull this up because I'm out of order now. Okay, so number 4 is 14A Orchard Street, Dulce Ranger LLC. This is a new on-premises license with proposed opening hours of Sunday through Wednesday of 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. The applicants currently operate Bar Belly, which is next door and has a full on-premises liquor license. The proposal is for a Spanish tapas restaurant, and the kitchen will be open at all hours of operation. They'll be closing any front or rear facade doors by 10 p.m. They've pledged to have happy hours only till 7. They'll only be playing ambient music, so no DJs, live music, promote events, or other ticketed events. And I'm just going to drop the full application in here so everyone can take a look at it. Dropping this in the chat. Oh, sorry, I sent it to Pamela. Just link it to everybody. Okay, so everyone should have the application now if you'd like to follow along. So I'm going to give the applicants a chance to let me know if there's anything incorrect with the stipulations form that they sent in, or if there's anything that they need to change. I know the applicants are here if you guys would like to speak.
Sure, thank you so much. No, as far as stipulations, they're fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Is there anyone from the committee who would like to say something about this application?
Since I do not have the application in front of me, I would like to get from them how the setup of their business is at this, or how the business will be set up. Just a little introduction to their business. Should take about a minute or two.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm sitting here with my 2 other partners, Maurizio and Federico. Simply, it's we had an opportunity because this place is right next door to our bar. 2 separate entities. They don't have anything to do with each other, and it is going to be a Spanish tapas restaurant. And you know, we lost over 5 restaurants in the neighborhood, and we just thought it would be a good opportunity. It's going to be very chill, you know, and yes, and you know, bring something back here to the neighborhood, create jobs, things like that. And it is a tough time. People have asked us, are we crazy? But we all love the neighborhood here tremendously. And we've been in the neighborhood from the beginning, at least 13 years ago with Fat Radish. So we're just not, Fat Radish is sadly no longer here. But we were here in the early days before this community really started to bubble a little bit. So we're very respectful of that as well. And it's going to be a restaurant.
Have you had any reaction from the local neighborhood? As to, I know there's people there will be speaking here 2 minutes, but think your related neighborhood by opening the second bar would be positive?
Well, thank you for that question. Well, it'll be a restaurant, yeah, not a bar. But yeah, I mean, I'm very entrenched. We all are in the community here. So especially through COVID, have even formed a bigger bond. And, you know, people have been very supportive, and not just industry, not just restaurants, but I do know a bunch of the local neighbors, and, you know, we're very involved here in many ways. And things that you won't see is, you know, we give bottles to the local people that collect it, and we're planning a soup kitchen momentarily any day now for the neighborhood. So, you know, we're pretty entrenched here, and it's been favorable.
Back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Herman. Herman, if you want to look, I put the application in the chat box if you want to click on the link to take a look at it in more detail with the floor plans.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Is there anybody else from the committee that has questions for the applicant? Anyone else from the committee? And of course, if we want to hear what the community says first, and then we can obviously round up again afterwards.
Just reading it.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you guys want to hear from the community first, then we'll circle up again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Great. Okay. Okay, so community members who are here who would like to speak on this, I know I asked you to sign up in the chat box, but if you could also raise your hand through the Zoom function. If you are having issues with that, don't worry, we'll still get to you. Please use the Zoom function if you can. If not, we'll try to get to you through the chat. Okay, so I see Pamela Yay has her hand up. If you would like to try to go first, please.
Hi, how are you this evening? I have been asked, so I am a resident of 14 Orchard Street, which is the apartment building that Bar Belly occupies, and also the 14A, and it's a predominantly Chinese building. And I've been asked, and any names that you see of the participants who are Chinese sounding, or they say they're part of Canal Condo, those are all the residents that decided to show up this evening to oppose this license. And I've been asked by 2 residents to give a statement because their English is not so great, but I also have a personal statement. I know you said to limit it to 2. I hope you will allow me that. First of all, the first statement is from a resident named Mei Zhen. She lives in apartment 5H. And she says, to the licensing committee, my name is Mei Zhen. I am a condo owner at 14 Orchard Street. I come before this committee in a personal capacity as a homeowner and in an official capacity as the secretary of Canal Condo board members. I own a unit that faces Orchard Street. I live with my in-laws who are 85 and 77. Our quality of life has gone down a great deal since Bar Belly has been operating in our building. The smell of cigarettes and marijuana smoke drift up and into our unit even when the windows are closed, and it's too much to take. We cannot open our window at any time because of the smoke and the noise from the crowds and the music. It is unbearable. The crowds that gather in our doorway all night long, they leave many cigarette butts in our doorway, which is very dirty. Now, to increase these problems with another bar right next door, our apartments will become unlivable. My in-laws are elderly, they need their rest. I work full-time, I need my rest. We have been living in this building for 20 years. This is a safe, quiet neighborhood with many working-class Chinese families living here. Many have left because the bars have made living on Orchard Street impossible. In my official capacity as the Secretary of Canal Condo board members, I represent the homeowners of this building. There are 42 apartments in this building with over 100 residents. I can say absolutely all of the homeowners do not want this new bar in our building. The bar applicants have never contacted any of the residents to let us know their plans. They've never sent a letter. They've never spoken to us outside. They already own Bar Belly, which is right next door. And we are not happy with Bar Belly. We do not want two bars, one right next to the other. It will only increase our problems. We are a quiet building with many young children and elderly, excuse me. We will have more noise in the evening and late at night. We will have more smoking and dirty cigarette butts, not to mention the increase of smoke drifting up to all the residents' windows. Again, these applicants have never informed any of the residents of their plans to open a bar in our building. Besides Bar Belly, we have Dimes, Servo, Clandestino around the corner. If you walk one block, you can go to Kiki's, Bacaro, and Forget Me Not. You have many options to eat and drink in this area. This new application does not offer any community benefit. We all work hard day and night. When we get home, we find there are drunk people in the door of our building, swearing and arguing. They are fighting with each other. These things have happened too many times. The trash that these bars bring vermin. They pile up in front of our building, and it is the residents that get fined by the city for many sanitation issues. We have called 311 many times over the years to complain about Bar Belly. Nothing is ever done about it. Why should a bad operator with no respect for their neighbors be allowed to open another bar? To multiply these issues by approving another bar harms every resident in this building. There is no community benefit. Please consider the wishes of the residents that will be most directly impacted by your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Penela. That's everything is true. It's from my best heart of my bottle. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
I have a statement from another resident.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, we'll just run a timer on you for each separate one if that works. Thanks.
Okay. My name is Mei Shu Zhu, and I am an owner of apartment 2D in Canal Condo. I have resided in this building since 2008 and have seen the changes in this neighborhood from a very nice and quiet before to a rowdy and uncontrollable now. I am currently living above the bar. I constantly hear loud music, people's conversations, and your typical late night drunk people yelling again and again. This easily affects me and my family, including my two baby grandchildren who are 5 and 8 years old. They cannot sleep. In addition, living above the bar is a health hazard given the amount of people who smoke cigarettes and marijuana below my window. I am unable to leave my window open at all times due to the constant secondhand smoke. Having one bar below me has already decreased my quality of life. 2 bars below me will mean a disaster. We already have a few bars in the same block and in the immediate area. Meanwhile, we are still in a pandemic. These bars are also attracting many customers who are not participating in social distancing and wearing masks. I personally do not see any benefits to adding a new bar to the neighborhood. In addition, the applicant has made no attempts to reach out to any of the residents regarding their business or made any attempts to provide an interpreter for a neighborhood that's been predominantly Chinese speaking. These residents have learned that the new application is by the same owner of the current bar below us. They have received many, many noise complaints over the years and have done nothing to be a good neighbor and lessen the problems they create. Please do not reward them with another liquor license. Thank you for your time and patience. And the last statement I have is mine personally. I'm a resident of 14 Orchard Street. I'm also a member of the Orchard Street Block Association, and I oppose Dulce Ranger's liquor application. I and my neighbors who are here tonight also unequivocally oppose this application. This is a quiet building with multi-generational families from babies to grandparents that need to rest. This is also a working class building in which many of us work long hours and need to rest. None of the homeowners were ever notified by the applicants of their intentions. No letter, no one to engage us if you came in and out of the building, nothing. I don't know why the applicants didn't bother. Perhaps the reason is because this is a predominantly Chinese speaking building, but in the age of Google Translate or hiring a translator, there is no excuse except laziness and hubris. I live directly above the proposed space. I've been living in this building since 1999. I have had many dealings with other establishments that operate out of this building, from Sweet Paradise back in the early aughts to the Lead Belly and now Bar Belly. None of these interactions were positive. With their extremely loud music and louder patrons, the noise just shoots straight up into our apartments, even with the windows closed. The trash, the loitering, the drunken brawls are impossible to cope with. I have a heart condition. I had a heart attack 4 years ago. The heart attack was brought on by many factors, stress being one of them. It's a condition that I manage with the help of my doctors. And the one instruction that all of my doctors reiterate to me every single time I go for a checkup is to avoid stress. This new bar will bring me immeasurable stress. Just thinking about tonight's SLA meeting has increased my stress level. Dulce Ranger's ambition to capitalize on the interior space, but also the sidewalk and the backyard guarantees that I will never be able to get any rest and will exacerbate my heart condition. There's no lack for entertainment in this area. There are 7 bars and restaurants within 2 blocks of 14 Orchard Street. It's not like there is no choice around here. Dulce Ranger offers 0 community benefit. Rather, they will be destructive disruptors. I ask this SLA committee to deny their application for all the reasons I have described, and please preserve someone's heart health. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. And I'd like to remind everyone that the chat is not to have a separate meeting. It's for technical issues and for folks to sign up if they'd like to speak. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that we always share the timer so that the speaker has a chance to see where their time is. We do that in all of our community board meetings. Okay, is there anyone else that isn't signed up? I believe Hope Beach has her hand up if you'd like to start the timer for her when she's ready. Paul, thank you.
My mute. I'll echo what Pamela has brought to the table from the residents of 14 Orchard, the Canal Condo. As a member of the Orchard Street Block Association, I'll speak on our behalf and my personal behalf of living at 19 Orchard Street across from this establishment. Now for 15 years, I will echo that the community has changed drastically from a quiet working class neighborhood to now all bars. I think that on top of that, if we do not monitor the corridor of Orchard Street between Broome and Canal when the hotel opens, it's just going to be a free for all. And we've seen what's happened at the corner of Orchard and Broome all summer during COVID, and we're just in store for more of that. And I think that, you know, as Pamela said, there are numerous 311 calls. We have engaged many times with the 7th precinct around this, and even with the gentlemen who are the operators. And while I think they believe they're doing their part to dampen the noise, it doesn't seem to actually have an effect at night. So as the Orchard Street Block Association representative, we definitely oppose this application and would prefer that people who we consider already bad operators in the neighborhood do not be rewarded with the opportunity to continue to bring noise and drunken revelry to this block. And I cede the rest of my time back to Canal Condo.
Thank you. Okay, and Pamela, I neglected to ask you, how many folks are there from Canal Condo that are here to speak? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I believe there are at least 30 residents on the Zoom and then at least 10 residents dialed in.
Okay. So 40 residents from Canal Condo. And that shares the same address. That's 14A.
So the entire building is actually 14-16. So we occupy 16, 16A, 14, 14A, and all the way around the corner to 51 Canal. So it's one large building and then the commercial space on the street.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, and thank you everyone from Canal Condo for coming tonight. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we've asked for just 2 members from each group, but we understand your concerns. Pamela, do you think that what you said encapsulates the issues that the residents have?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay, are there any other community members who would like to speak on this item before we go back to the committee? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. If there's anyone else, I don't think there are. Paul Rangel, are you seeing anyone else? Oh, I see Linda's iPhone.
Yeah, there's a hand raised, Linda's iPhone.
Okay. Linda, if you'd like to speak for 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. My name's Linda, and I'm speaking for my mom's, which her name is Yu Queen Zan. She lives she's a resident of 14 Orchard Street, and she lives on 2H. And she want me to bring the statement to you guys and say that she will oppose to the liquor application that we are going through tonight, because she lives right on top of the bars currently, and we're on the 2nd floor. And every night there's, like on the weekends, there's a lot of noises due to the music and loud noises. And there are like people smoking cigarettes and marijuana on the streets. And a lot of times, like, we have to keep our window closed all year long, even in springtime, summertime. It doesn't really matter what is the season, but we have to keep it closed because the smell of the cigarette is so strong. And even at late night, even like 2 or 3 a.m., there's still noises downstairs, and the loud noise of the speakers, the music that is creating, it's even make our sofa, her sofa is shaking. And she wouldn't want another bars downstairs because we are right on top, so we get affected directly from the bars. And we hope that we don't pass this liquor license for we are going for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody else raising their hand. All right, so let's throw it back to the committee for now. I know Herman and Paul Cieros, you both wanted to maybe speak on this. Is there anyone else? And just a reminder, this is for committee members only right now.
I have a question, but we'll have to Paul and Herman.
I think if you have a question for the applicants, you should go.
Well, just everything I'm hearing from the community, because I'm taking the notes on it, so it's particularly poignant. Can you tell me about the outreach to the community and what you did there? Because what I'm hearing from multiple sources is there wasn't outreach, and there wasn't translation. Translation is obviously a very important thing, especially down in certain areas. So can you just tell me what you did and why they might not have received it?
Sure. So there are signs on front, and I've had to deal with COVID in different versions in contact. And that's been my biggest issue. And it's been my issue trying to collect petitions. People don't want to touch a pen right now. And I did try to knock on doors, and, to be honest with you, never thought about the interpreter. People just couldn't even, they looked at me and shut the door. And I just realized really what's going on, which is we're in COVID. I don't speak Chinese. So I just didn't pursue it more than that. And I just didn't think, just because of what's going on, and there are a lot of elderly people that live in the building, the last thing I wanted to do is unknowingly be a carrier and hand somebody a pen or whatever.
So just to jump in there, I totally get that. It's part of what we've removed is the required signatures and petitions. I do think that there are other ways that you can hold a Zoom, you can do things digitally, just like we've moved other things digitally. I think there is an impetus to try and engage with the people who you're directly affecting and have been affecting. Obviously, I don't think that should be done in person. I agree with that. I do think that there are other solutions to be had, knowing that this was a, this is a request of the community, and that's, that there are other ways to maybe engage with them, even email, simple ways to just kind of get going some sort of trail right there.
And I have to agree with you 100%, because now after hearing this, what's really hearing, the amount of, uncomfortability. I really wish I had known that, because I would have done everything to have a meeting. And I've done it before. I've done it with Hope, who just spoke. I've done it with other people that live in the building. We've had them down here for meetings. I just never really thought that there was this sentiment going on here, and we have taken actions too over the partners that are sitting here. We're here for 3 years. We took over. My other partners that are no longer here, they didn't really pay attention too much to what was going on. We have, and I'm sure, like I said, we attend the police meetings. Now, even this woman, Pamela, like, I don't know you, but I want to know you, and I want to work it out. And if that means I can have people smoke cigarettes at an abandoned space across the street. If I had known what she had said, this could have been fixed 2.5 years ago. Fixed right away. We just never knew. And I feel really bad about it. And also the interpreter, I'd be happy to hire an interpreter this is really important to us. It's not about making, it's being a part of the community. And that is very important to me. I've lived in West Village for over 20 years. I'm very aware about stuff like that. And what they don't know is, I've got a couple that come down. We don't even speak English together. We smoke cigarettes, husband and wife. The guy has to be 80 years old. I'm thinking we're good. He's super nice. We have fun. That's how we are here. We're not ignorant. We're definitely not ignorant. I feel ignorant now that I didn't do some of the things you just suggested. So, and this is going to be a restaurant. It keeps mentioning the bar. There was a restaurant there before. And that's about what we're talking about here. We're talking 40 people. We're talking closed at midnight or whatever time we're closed. It's not a bar. It's not a club. There's no music. The place before was a restaurant. Now, if they had problems with that, I'd love to hear about it, but I don't think there could be one with that. Yeah. So that's kind of where,
And we also did stuff in the bar here. Like we did
right. Well, that I will also say, just throw it in the last piece. We spent $12,000 on acoustic ceilings. We spent another $5,000 for a sound system that if someone in the back who lives there, we can lower it really low, so it's not constant. We went above board. And sound, I'm sorry, is like air. It's just a nightmare. And in the community here, the way it was presented, like, we're not a club. We give free jazz 4 nights a week. We have 2 nights of the week, Friday and Saturday, where it can really be a problem. And the problem really is when the door opens, the sound does travel. I don't know what else we could do to do that. We've had the police here with decibel readers, trying to find out where the problem is, who's got a problem. One of the people that spoke, they were saying the cars are louder than your bar. So it's not like we're ignorant here. And we're not looking for reward. We're just, filling a void. We lost 6 bar restaurants here. I know there may seem enough. Who wants that? I get it.
And not to mention the jobs that we maintain right now that we are creating. There's 10 families that live out of these bars. Like, we do touch a lot of people. And the next place is not going to be a restaurant. Sorry, I'm not account. It's not going to be a bar. It's going to be a restaurant. So there would not be noise complaints. There were not noise complaints with Wuhan. It was a Japanese restaurant.
You do see how there could be concern after 3 years of being there, and the noise complaints is now being brought to your attention. And yes, it's not a favor, but it's not a right either. It's a privilege to be in this community, and part of that is building trust and a relationship with your neighbors.
Absolutely. I live in the community myself. I live a block away from here.
And I don't doubt that. I'm not I'm just saying that that is a concern for me that I've heard from multiple people who represent then even more people, and they have not been gotten in touch with. And I feel like if you knew that this was coming up and you knew an expansion was coming, like I want that to, you know, open up more avenues for quality businesses. But when I hear things like this, it brings hesitation.
It's disturbing. I mean, I'm really disturbed and I'm really upset that, you know, again, that from Pamela, that if this sentiment was really this bad, it just sounds awful. I just wish I'd met you 2 years ago. Why you just didn't come in and say, hey, can we talk? I'd sit with you. We'll figure something out. Like I would have come up with solutions.
Yeah, the cigarette problem is something that we can easily fix. We just don't allow smoking outside of the bar. It's simple as that. We never knew that that was a problem. Literally, like that was never brought to our attention.
No. So I know no one ever said anything to me.
Pamela, say something.
Yeah.
Say something. Say something to Tommy. Let's hash this out now. I mean,
Do I have permission?
you're listening.
Do I have permission?
Sorry. Okay. Hold on one second. Pamela, do you have a specific question for the applicants or something that you can ask the committee that we can direct to them?
No, I mean, the applicants have asked certain things and
Okay. Okay, great.
I would like to.
Okay, please, Herman, go ahead.
I need to, Pamela, if you could, need to understand the building itself. You said it's a condo. Although I know there's a whole bunch of rentals in there from time to time.
Yes.
Alert from messages. Alert from messages.
Sorry, my apologies.
Tomorrow daily.
Okay. There's a board of managers there, which is the board of directors, right? So is it a private owner that owns the commercial spaces?
I am not part of the management board.
You could ask who owns you know, you're representing a couple of folks there.
Right. May is on the Zoom. May is the secretary of the
Right. So
You can
maybe she could answer.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
And May,
yes.
May, who is the person who is in charge of renting those spaces?
You probably have to ask your landlord. I'm sorry. Are you the business owner of the new opening bar?
No. What I'm trying to find out is there's a condo.
Yes.
And you have the board of managers or directors.
Yes, I'm the one of the board member. Actually,
Okay.
I'm the secretary. Yes.
So as secretary, are you responsible for the person renting the storefront?
Actually, it's most of the is from the president and vice president, and also the management. I mean the management office. So basically, I'm the secretary of the Canal Condo board, and a lot of things, you know, have to, because we have some issue in the board right now. So be honest with you, I don't like that any more bar is down to my building. It's only make it very messy. You know, I have some photos today that if we community people can check there, it's really, really messy.
I'm just trying to find out responsibility and approval. Okay, I got it.
So, okay, if you want, I'm sorry, let me tell you, you can contact the that's called Belleville Management Office. I can give you phone number there.
No. I just want to know this, is that we have 30 people in the condo. that
Yes.
come out saying that they would not like to see that bar open.
Yes.
But somebody on the condo board or stuff that owns that space is responsible for approving the lease. So
You know why? That the reason why I don't know that is that the president and the vice president, which is Vinian Chan, and president, I don't know, it's called Ken Chan, and then probably the both of them, they are the owner. They only want the rent. They not thinking about whatever the issue in the building.
okay, I understand, May.
Yes.
I understand now that there was not an approval from the board itself, but the management and the executive board approved the leases. I'd like to ask a question from the proposed owners, developers of the bar.
Go ahead, Herman.
Could you explain to me the community benefit of establishing this additional space?
That's to us.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, I've lived in New York City for over 30 years. I should have.
No,
What I want to say,
50, but I just want to know the relationship and the benefits that the neighborhood accrues by you establishing the venue.
well, what I was leading to is, to me, this neighborhood is the last real authentic neighborhood, in my opinion, in Manhattan. You know, it's so unique and so special. I'm fully aware we're not gonna put a sports bar there. Like, we want to add some kind of culture. We want to like help the community like we do now in our own small way, whether it's employing a family or whether it's giving out soup next month or whether giving bottles to a particular person so that he doesn't have to dig through. We're going to add to it in some way. And then the cultural aspect of a nice establishment for the community. Not slick, not fast, something that fits.
And it's not something new to the neighborhood. Since we took over, I mean, we invested a lot of money, like on the roof, on the ceiling, on the sound music. We have a really good relationship with the police, with the community.
I'm sorry, that's okay. I was asking about community benefit, not. I was asking about insulation and all that stuff. So I'll go back to Michelle to continue the meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know you guys have applied for licenses before. Herman is asking this for a specific reason because this is something that the SLA will consider when approving your license. So that's where the question comes from. Are there other committee members who want to say anything? Should we take it, or anything else I want to ask the applicants? Committee members? You can raise your hand if you'd like. Okay. Do you want to take a straw poll, guys, from the committee to see how we're feeling about this? I think we have 3 different options. One is to deny full out, or I should say we have 4 options. One is we can suggest that these applicants go back and do more outreach to the community. They can withdraw their application. That's one option. Another one is that we can approve an OP with either the stipulations that they suggested or with more restrictive ones. We can do this as a beer wine. I think that those are the options. Does anyone have anything they want to say on those options from the committee?
I will go with 1. And I mean, if Pamela, and I mean, I get it, it's COVID. They need to do outreach. I think Pamela should go and talk to them, or the Street Association, go talk to them. they discuss stuff, and then they come back. That's it. I think it's simple. It's instead of like everyone fighting with each other and there's absolutely no resolution. I think
Yeah, and I'll just,
get
sorry, go
together.
ahead.
Sorry, Michelle. They should all get together, discuss it, and then come back. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and that obviously that will have to be, you know, the applicants, you would have to make that decision to withdraw because just so you know, anyone else on the committee who wants to weigh in on those options?
I would agree if they pull it back. It doesn't guarantee that when they come back, I'll approve it. So I'm not going to say I'm going to approve it because they go back and guarantee. But my other option would be denial.
Deny outright.
So they have a decision to make at this point.
Okay, what about you, David?
There are too many licenses in that area when I look at the 500-foot map. And since they deflected about the questioning about a community benefit, when I know that they must know what that is, if they don't know what it is, I believe they're in the wrong business. So yeah, if they're willing to promise not to go straight to the SLA and to talk to the residents, I think that might be productive, but my default would be to deny it.
Okay,
If we were
Jesse?
tonight, I would be to deny it. I don't think that they're being honest.
Okay, Jesse?
I'm basically falling kind of in similar line. Is I would like to see the type of outreach currently at this point, you know, with no sort of outreach to the community. It would be hard for me to approve something like this. I would like to see how, and we've been on this board, you know, for a while to at least understand that it's not always going to be come to a perfect kumbaya decision, but it's weighing the demands and the needs of both. And right now, I'm not really hearing any sort of communication. I think I would love to hear what's done with that. To Herman's point, that doesn't mean anything for next month, but that's probably where I'm falling on this. Is I'd like to see what would happen.
Can I say something, Michelle, for a second?
Yeah, please go ahead.
It doesn't matter if they come back next month, 2 months, 3 months from now. There's no such thing as approval. I agree with what the gentleman just said. Has to be an outreach first. We're talking without outreach. First has to be the outreach, and then we'll conclude what we had to say. So right now we're talking without, there's no such thing as denial right off the bat. They have to do the outreach, then we talk about the rest. That's all.
Okay. So, all right. So you guys have heard sort of where the committee is falling. Do you guys want to respond to that? Because it sounds like we're going to deny outright based on what everyone said through the straw poll if you decide to not withdraw tonight and come back after doing some outreach, which I think I understand that it's COVID and everything, but there are other ways to do it. And I think, for example, you might have dropped this in WeChat, like that's another way to do it. So just, yeah, what are you guys thinking?
We are, honestly, I'm just a little embarrassed for the lack of outreach and, you know, by what Jesse said about there are different ways and what Paul was talking about. I'd rather have that opportunity to sit with my neighbors, find out what's going on. You know, let's work together. Let's develop a relationship. And if we come to the same outcome, then I've known I've done the best I can. And right now, I'm not feeling like, I think we could have done a better job, to Jesse's point and a few other people. So we'd like to have that opportunity to go back and see what happens.
Sounds like this is also a good idea just for the current running of the establishment you already have, let alone
1000%. Like, Pamela, I hope you leave your information so I can reach out to you wherever you are so we can have a chat, because this is all newsflash to me tonight. So I'd love to go back, as Paul said, have a little outreach. Let's just talk a little bit more and find out what's going on.
It's news to me because I know that the residents have communicated to our management company. That's what the management company is for, to have communicated to you about various things.
I could barely hear you. Could you just speak up a little bit?
I said that this is news to me, that you've never heard of any of our complaints, because I do know that residents have communicated to the building management company. That's what the management company is there for, is to communicate
Right.
to you the things that you've
I'm
done.
just, oh,
So-
sorry, I'm just going to interject. So I think you guys should, you can talk offline just because there are a lot of people here tonight. Susan, is there anything you want to say about process here?
Yeah. So I will mention, I don't believe the residents have contacted the board for help. One of the things that is often useful is doing, testing within the apartments of the music level, from the business. And I'm happy to be part of that and help them if they would like.
But we haven't gotten there yet because we were talking about the other day withdrawing.
That is a what? I'm talking about for the existing.
That they withdraw tonight and talk to each other, maybe talk to the community board. But at this point, it's either a denial if they're not willing to withdraw, and that is 2 minutes of conversation that we already have.
Yeah, and we're agreeing to withdraw. So
Okay. Okay, great.
Let's do that.
Done.
Okay, great. Susan, everything's good with that? Everything's kosher?
Yes, just write in the minutes that they withdrew for further outreach.
Okay, great. And Pamela, you should be able to drop, you should be able to direct message Federico with your contact info on Zoom. Okay.
In that message from the board to them, they should agree not to go to the SLA until after they meet back with the board.
Well, they're withdrawing, so there's no application.
Okay. Well,
So
thank
can
you
I
guys.
ask-
Sorry,
so
go ahead, David.
technically, that means withdrawing means that they're withdrawing at all levels,
Yes,
and that's always understood?
yes.
Oh, that is okay.
And it's on video.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, the beauty of Zoom, we have a record of this. Well, thank you guys very much for coming. We will likely see you in the future. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I'm going to try again to see if number 7, Trapizzino, is here. Another beer wine upgrade to full liquor. Are the applicants for number 7 here? Okay. That seems like a no. All right, so we'll come back to them. Okay, so I'm going to go on to number 5, which is Via Della Pace, 48 East 7th Street Associates. It's an existing restaurant that's building Burntown. It's an application for a new OP license at 87 East 4th Street with proposed hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. Friday through Sunday. They were previously licensed at the previous location of Via Della Pace, which I mentioned on East 7th Street. For those of you who don't know, they're applying for the space that Cucina de Pesce used to be in. This location is previously licensed, and we've received several testimonies in support of this application. Are the applicants here for number 5? I just run through all that for nothing.
Hi. My name is Ellen. I'm representing the applicants. They're online.
Okay.
I was chatting with them. They are online.
Okay. Okay, you're all here.
Yes. Giovanni is here. The co-owner is here. One of the owner.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So I just ran through all those stipulations. Is there anything that we need to change from the application that you submitted to the board and that is on the website, which I will drop into the chat right now? Ellen, is there anything you need to change?
I think the only change will be the hours.
Okay.
Because they extended the hours from I don't know what their prior stipulated hours were, but right now we're requesting Friday, Saturday, Sunday to be 3 a.m.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yes, and Monday through Thursday, 1
a.m.
1 a.m.
Yes.
Okay, so it's 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Thursday, and 1 p.m. to 3 a.m. Friday through Sunday.
It's actually 11. They're opening earlier now. It's 11 to 1 a.m.
Okay.
That's the hour that Giovanni had provided, and
Okay.
11 a.m. to 3 a.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think that's the only change. The menu remains the same. The staff, it's just a new, brand new location. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the committee that'd like to ask a question?
I just don't get the 3 a.m. I own places. You make no money past.
I understand.
So I don't get the 3 a.m.
Okay.
I mean, I was born and raised in New York City. I own places here in the Lower Side. I just don't get the 3 a.m.
When we don't intend to open up 3 a.m. Fridays, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If we just opened up our room a little more, that way we don't approach give us the flexibility. And in the near future, when New York City allows and there's demand, when we have customers coming in and wish to dine, then we will continue extend our hours of operation a little longer. That's all. We don't, when there's
advice that you're not going to make money past 12:30, 1 o'clock. So.
I think Giovanni and Marco will do. They'll see. They'll try out. If it doesn't, they don't intend to open up 3 a.m. from the day one of the operation. It's just they'll stay near 12 midnight to 1 a.m. And in the future, if there's a demand, then we will stretch. We want that flexibility. That's the only reason for a 3 a.m. request.
Okay. Can I ask what hours were you operating at the old location?
I was told 1 a.m. But there are some days where the customers wanted to. There are days where they just come in and wish to stay a little longer. So they want a little more flexibility on their hours. They don't intend to open up till 3 a.m. and open the doors for everyone to come in. It's just for those who are the loyal customers, the regulars who happen to come in late and just hang around for a while. And that's the only reason.
Okay. Anyone else on the committee like to ask a question?
Well, I wouldn't be quarreling you about whether you want to open it. Yeah, as long as it's not all nights at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. Your hours seems reasonable to me on that block, considering you have the arts programs going on there, and if they want to. What is your music like?
It's soft background ambient music. We're not gonna have any amplifiers. There will be a TV, but it will be muted. It will be right behind the bar.
Okay, so and I know the place, and there's windows to the front, all right? Will you have open windows?
They will not be open. They will not be open.
Okay.
I mean, they were here for 18 years with the community, and during that 18 years, I think they had a solid relationship with the community and the neighbors as well. I think you can trust that they'll continue to operate responsively and do not abuse the 3 a.m. If there's no business, there's no reason to why open up till 3 a.m.
Can I ask you, will you be using the outdoor space in front of the?
No, because there's a.
Well, because there's a seating patio out front, which I know is within the property line, right?
We're not going to use that space because we intend to try to stay within the indoor dining only. But let's see, I don't know when indoor full operation will be allowed.
Okay, just because that's one of the stipulations.
We're not going to use the outdoor space unless
Okay.
it's only if it's legal and New York City allows. Otherwise, if indoor dining is allowed, we wish to stay inside.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, I can't raise my hand because I'm a.
Yeah.
So if the board makes a stipulation not to use outdoor space, they will not be able to use the outdoor space during the shutdown because of the stipulation.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's private property. So it's just, it would limit them from using the outdoor space during the shutdown.
Even under the executive order.
Yes, because the executive order says if it's private property and there's a stipulation, they would have to come to us for a waiver.
Okay.
If there's no stipulation, then they can use it under the executive order.
Understood.
I'd like to also mention, under the old stipulations, they have been there for many years and there have not been complaints. And I have observed that they're not a problem business.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Susan.
How many chairs or tables could that outside? I don't remember. If it has to be used, do you know?
Not yet, because currently the place is under renovation and they expect the renovation to continue for another 2-3 more months. And hopefully by then, indoor dining will be allowed. So outdoor dining was not ever discussed, actually.
So what you're saying, Susan, is that there was a stipulation that they would use that outside space from the previous tenant?
No, they did use outdoor space at the previous location because it was within their property. So they didn't need to get like a cafe license or anything, but it was not a problem at all.
Okay, so I wouldn't include that as a stipulation barring them to use it. Everybody agrees.
Okay.
Could you repeat that then? Or what did you just, Michelle, what did you just agree?
Well, I was asking about the stipulation for outdoor dining, or sorry, for the stipulation, I will not use outdoor space for commercial use, but as Susan pointed out, we should not check that, because of the executive order.
Right, and I believe that as well. Cafe del Pace had a couple seats out there, like a little bench. It was a great establishment. I'm great they're going to be able to carry forward, and we need to get the license right for them. The current occupant does use the outdoor space. Cucina de Peche, it seems fine by me. I mean, it's just a narrow thing. Sort of how to describe it.
Yeah, it's a pretty narrow covered space.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's not mess up this license for them, and they've never been a problem. Neither the current the old Cucina de Peche or the Cafe del Pace. I can't imagine they would be. I do wonder though why you would want to say 3 a.m. and then say you're not going to use it. Well, then don't put it in there. I can't see there may be a business opportunity for leaving theaters. So that might be why you would want to do it. I'm not sure that would be a problem.
I mean, it's okay if we reduce the hours to 1 a.m., but just one of those couple of occasions where we do need, because the customer's still there and we cannot push them out.
I would.
Because being there 20 years, there are some days where we need an extra hour, and that's why we stretch to 3 a.m. If you push that to 2 a.m., we'll take it. That's okay. We don't need that. It's just that we wanted the flexibility. That's all.
It's difficult because you have to keep coming back, okay? And the outside numbers, I hope we agree with that, is that my experience is you do a 1 and then something happened and you come back to 2 and then to 3. I think 3 would be adequate for those, 3 days?
We'll take 2 a.m. too. That's fine. Because an extra hour for those special days.
No. This is what I'm saying.
He's saying 3 a.m.
We're giving you what you want.
Yeah.
Well, proposing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a rare moment, guys. Herman is saying okay for 3 a.m. So.
Okay. Michelle.
Yeah.
Just in case, due to COVID-19, indoor dining will not be allowed. If it's allowed, we might need that outdoor space only if during the COVID-19, because a maximum of 3, if we can put 3 tables, that's it, due to the spacing limitations.
Okay, yep, that's fine. We won't check off the stipulation then. I think it sounds like the committee is okay with that. Of course, we'll vote on this at the end, but okay. Anyone else from the committee have any questions for the applicant? Okay, seems like no. I know that there were quite a few, we received 5 written testimonies in support of Via Della Pace. I'm just going to say this. I don't know if the committee needs to hear anyone speak out loud. If there's anyone else that's here, we can note in the resolution that there was support and no opposition. Is there anyone here that wants to speak on this item from the community? And as I said, it sounds like we're already, just from taking an informal straw poll, it sounds like the committee is pretty in favor, but if you'd like to speak on this, please raise your hand on the Zoom function. Okay, I see Laura. Okay, and you got the timer ready, Paul?
Hi, thanks for letting me speak. I actually have a question. I'm very happy to hear that there's a path forward for Via Della Pace and that they're going to remain in the neighborhood of our favorites. I do wonder, I guess maybe this is a question for Ellen, given the oversaturation of licensing problem we have in the neighborhood, and given that they're vacating a location that we're uncertain about its future, did you consider removing the license to the new location? I think Cucina's expired in July
of this year, and so it's open, and you still have until October of 22 on the Via Della Pace license.
Yes, our license, we actually renewed the license even though it was in safekeeping in anticipation of going in again, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen very soon. And Marco and Giovanni wish to stay within the neighborhood and met with several landlords actually and tried to negotiate the terms and the conditions on the lease. And 87 East 4th Street the landlord was very cooperative and opened his building door for them. But instead of removing the license itself, just in case there's any heating wish, we're applying under the same corporation. We're not going to operate it at 2 separate places, but it looked like the opening at 48 East 7th Street is just almost done. And instead of bringing over the license, we wish to apply new, that's all, and we'll surrender the other license.
Okay, thank you. So you will surrender the other license. Just
Yes,
to clarify,
yes.
For the committee, both establishments had full liquor, so it's a net sum. I just wanted to hear that answer. Thanks very much.
We will be surrendering, yes. So
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura, for your question. Is there anyone else from the community who would like to say something before we go to making a resolution?
Can I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you to everybody. We miss you. We've been with you guys for a long time. I got goosebumps, and we're very happy that our landlord let us stay in the neighborhood, and we miss be part of you guys. And that's it. I'm sorry for the emotion. Thank you. That's it. I hope to see you soon, all of you guys.
Thank you. Okay. David, tell me if I'm doing this wrong. I'm going to move to make a resolution. Did I get a thumbs up? No?
Sure, just say that, I move that we approve this license with this motion.
Okay, I move that we approve this license with this motion. We can write a resolution that's very similar to the one we did actually for the upgrade, I think, because we can include in here that there is community support for the application and no opposition. And whereas this applicant operated, when did you, Ellen, how many years were you at the previous location? It wasn't in the application, in the questionnaire.
18 years.
Okay, at,
Since 2002.
so is that operated at 48 East 7th Street
Yes.
since 2002?
Yes.
Okay. And Susan, it's safe to say with minimal or with no through-on calls or?
There have not been any complaints in many, many, many years, over 10 years, at least.
Okay. Years. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 3 recommends a denial of the application for a full on-premises liquor license for this location located at 4087 East 4th Street, unless the applicant agrees before the SLA to make as conditions of its license the following signs notarized stipulations that we already went through. So how do people feel about the 3 a.m. close on the weekends? If Herman, I know, is already supportive of it.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'd like to see it at 2 a.m., but I'm just one.
2 a.m.
I would like to, but I'm one. I don't understand.
Okay.
I don't understand the reason not to. The reason to do it is, I guess, it would reduce, the burden on everyone if they had to come back to ask for 3 a.m. But really, I understand also why you would want to have at least another hour beyond your close time. I'm in particular pretty bad with a friend of mine who owns a restaurant, basically trying to overstay his liquor license hour. Then reminding him he has to pick us out. I understand that, but I don't flip this by.
Hold on one second. Okay, so Pavlos, I know you had said that you were maybe not in favor of the 3 a.m. I think he's talking to somebody. Paul Sierros, 3 a.m. You're on mute.
I would go with 1. Great place, but again, it makes no sense. They're not gonna
Okay.
make. So I would go with 1.
Can we split the baby at 2 a.m.? Would everyone be okay with that? For us, for lingering drinkers with their friends like David?
You know what? I'm not old. I'm fine with that too. I mean,
Okay.
it's a place, so.
Okay, cool. And can I just clarify, Ellen, will the kitchen be open at all hours?
At all hours, up until 30 minutes prior to closing.
Okay,
Last call will be 30 minutes prior to closing, because so say we're closing at 1 a.m. Last order must be in by 12:30.
Okay, but the kitchen, but Susan, that still would be kitchen open and serving food until.
Our standard language is always kitchen open.
Okay.
Because they're still eating, at that time.
Okay. Okay, great. Wonderful. So I think we've come to a resolution here. Any other questions from the committee?
No.
Okay, fabulous. All right, let me take the roll call here.
Need a second before you go to roll call?
Yes. I don't need a second, David?
No, we've been discussing a motion all along. Don't turn these into some sort of magical incantation that needs to be said. There isn't one. You can go.
Someday we'll be as good at Robert's rules as you, David, but today is not that day. Okay, I'll call the roll then.
We don't have complicated resolutions or unusual ones coming down. The purpose for saying I move something and then holding it to it is so that a body that has complicated stuff can know what they're talking about. We know we've been talking about this one developing resolution for quite a while now, and you can just say, if there's no more debate, we'll go to a vote. Okay.
If there's no more debate, we will go to a vote. Thank you. I'm gonna have to write that down and put it on my computer. Okay, Ellen Liu. Okay. Alex Militano. Jesse Beck.
Yes.
Herman Hewitt.
Yes.
Paul Sierros.
Yes.
David Crane.
Yes.
Michelle Cooper Smith. Yes. Okay, thank you all so much for coming tonight. The office will send you the stipulation sheet tomorrow morning so that you can get it signed and notarized. And yeah, good luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, I'm gonna try, now we're up to where Trapizzino actually is supposed to be. So is anyone here for application number 7, Trapizzino? Okay,
Still doesn't look like it. Still doesn't look like
okay. Thank you, Paul, for checking.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to number 8, which is Orchard Flavor Partners. Let me just get you guys the questionnaire. I'll drop it in the chat so you can follow along. Okay, everyone has that now. So this is an application for a new on-premises license at 167 Orchard Street. The proposed hours are Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m., Saturday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. The applicant was previously licensed, and this is a previously licensed OP location. We've received a couple of I think one email of opposition to the office directly, and I believe, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, that the office is unaware of any complaints at this location. Is that accurate?
Can you remind me which one we're doing?
This is 167 Orchard Street, which used to be Pizza Beach.
We haven't had any direct complaints. I've been at meetings where I don't want to say that there were, but no, there might have been like at police meetings, but I'm not positive, and there don't have any to the office.
Okay.
But I will say often, I don't know why, but often complaints about Orchard Street are not sent to the office.
Okay. Okay. Okay, got it. All right. Has the committee had a chance to look at the application? All right. So is the applicant here?
I'm the attorney for the applicant. I'm here. I think the applicants are also online.
Okay, great. Is everything I said correct? Is there anything that you need to correct from the application, the questionnaire that you submitted to the office?
No, just to point out that there currently is a license here, and we're under contract to purchase the business from the existing licensing. That's it.
Okay.
So this will be a transfer?
This is a transfer, yes. Transfer with less hours than the previous stipulation.
Okay.
With the same liquor license, you just transferring the liquor license, and the operations will remain the same. Have you seen the last stipulation? Is there anything changing?
We're agreeing to the last stipulation. In fact, the hours of this application are less, I believe.
Yeah, Herman, this is closing at 12 a.m. both nights, all nights, excuse me.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find, I think I have the previous ones. Okay. So does anyone else from the committee have any questions about this application? It looks to me like it's a reboot of Republic, which used to be on Union Square West, which is a noodle bar. I'm not sure when Republic closed, but is that accurate, Terrence, that it's a reboot of Republic?
Yes, actually, if you look at the resume attached for Jonathan Moore, it speaks about Republic, and it gives you the time frame they were open and closed, and all his other projects.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone from the committee have any questions about this application?
Okay with it.
Okay, any concerns about this application before we go to the community?
Used to open beyond their closing time. Could you assure the community that won't happen in this situation?
This applicant is going to stick with their hours. The applicant is there. I don't know if they know how to chime in, but the applicant is online.
Also, in terms of the open doors, because at one point I understand that also the doors would stay open beyond the 10 o'clock when music is being played.
We'll make it part of the stipulation. We'll
I
absolutely,
guarantee that will not happen.
we'll absolutely close them before 10 p.m.
No, but I'm understanding will the doors be closed?
Yes.
At 10 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
I actually have one point of clarification. I noticed on the application. I think you said your kitchen will be open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., but you're only going to be open Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is there a discrepancy? Can you just clarify that?
Yeah, I can clarify it. They're going to start off at 5 p.m., but they believe that after a few months, they're going to go to lunch during the week like they are on the weekend, like it's scheduled for the weekend.
Okay. Susan, what would you suggest how to deal with that?
So just take the later hour that'll open no later than 5 p.m. because we always want people to open earlier. We encourage it. But so if you just say opening hours will be no later than 5, that'll allow them to open at 11.
That's perfectly fine. Yep.
One last question in terms of the entertainment or music that you have in there. Would you have a professional DJ or a curator of music? They're using the word DJ, which I think it's a little different.
No, we put down that it's tapes and background music, which is exactly what it's going to be. There's no DJ of any kind.
Okay. I just want to hear somebody say that beside what's on the paper.
I understand. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, just to reiterate Herman's point of making sure that this establishment works within its stipulations, since it has a history.
Yeah, I think if you look at the resume of Jonathan Moore, you'll see that the places that he's owned and been affiliated are all places that have been run exceptionally well.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And we will put that in the resolution that the previous location did not abide by its stipulations. Okay, anyone else from the committee have any questions for the applicant before we go to the community?
No, I know there was an opposition to the person here.
Okay, is anyone who wants to speak on this item, please raise your hand on the Zoom function from the community. Okay. Okay, I see. Oops. Sorry, I think I'm echoing somewhere. Okay, I see David Troutman. Paul Rangel, could you pull up the timer, please?
Hey, this is David Troutman. I live directly across from the street from Pizza Beach, 167 Orchard Street. I have to say I'm absolutely shocked to hear that there were no history of complaints about this place, because it was wild. It was incredibly loud. They routinely left their doors and windows open really, really late at night. They did have DJs there. I've got photographic proof of that. And prior to that, Pizza Beach being there, this was the Derby, which was also very, very loud. So there's a really long history of noise coming out of this place. And when you look at the location of it, it's right across the street from Hair of the Dog, very big neighborhood problem, probably 12-second walk over to 82 Stanton Street, formerly the Epsteins, which is again growing to be a problem, and the Skinny, which just recently had its license suspended for illegal activities during the COVID. And right at this intersection of Orchard and Stanton, even during the COVID times, we have had wild dance parties where people come in and just blast the music and set up entire sound systems out in the street with dancing up until 2, 3, or even 5 a.m. on occasion. So I have a really big concern about this location and what it will be, because Pizza Beach was a good neighbor for like 6 or 9 months, and then it just decayed into doing what everybody else around them was doing. So there's a really serious concern about this. I did notice on the application also that this was not a transfer, it's a new application. Just check and make sure I'm correct on that. For some reason, I think it shows up on the community calendar also. So I don't know if the owner is someone who's taking over this license, but if in the past the owner had not been able to control Derby or Pizza Beach, then it doesn't look too good for our neighborhood in that regard. Thank you.
Can I speak to the new license, Michelle?
Go ahead, Susan.
It is a new license. It is both a new license and a transfer. Transfer simply means they're buying the assets of the last business, but it's always a new, transfer is always a new license.
I just have a question then. Does that mean there's a 500-foot issue?
It is, yes, it is subject. Yes, it is subject to 500 foot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see someone, concerned neighbor.
Yes, that's me. Thank you for taking the time. I also live on that block, and I just wanted to echo the previous gentleman's concerns about the noise coming from this corner.
I'm sorry, just
sure.
I need to record this.
Sure. It's my name's Chris Brown. I live on the block, have been for almost 8 years now. You know, the block has gotten increasingly worse over the last 8 years. I mean, particularly this spot. You know, there's you know, almost every weekend when this place was operating, there was overflow into the sidewalk. You know, having, you know, being with my family and just going out at, you know, 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you couldn't even walk, you know, 2 people side by side with a stroller without bumping into people, which is, you know, really dangerous, forcing, you know, families that want to be away from it to walk in the street. You know, we complained multiple times to the people, and they just kind of like laughed at us and, you know, thought our problems, you know, weren't really a concern. So, you know, I'm, you know, a little concerned that, you know, the setup looks almost exactly the same to me going forward, on top of all the other kind of noise complaints in the region or on the corner is a concern. That's all the time I'll take. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Dan Boyd next. Paul, if you want to start the time.
First, there was never any outreach to the residents for this application. So I think that's really important. I also think the history of the previous applicants' dining stipulations they did not always adhere to should be entered into this, especially the fact about the bottom floor is a basement, and that causes a lot of problems in this community because it becomes a nightclub. But so one, we would like for them to basically come and talk to the residents, because we do have some questions. Like, we don't know if John Mark or we, who were also involved with Republic and Bond Street, are involved with this establishment. That would reassure the community a bit better if we knew that. We also find it odd. We see a pattern happening in this neighborhood where the landlords are getting involved. So the original person that applied at the State Liquor Authority is the landlord of the building. We're very curious about this application because we do not believe the previous owner is actually selling his asset, his corporate assets. There's a lot of questions about that. So, and the other person that's on this license is also involved with owning the building. We've seen this pattern now several times. We have our biggest fear is that they're going to go in with these reduced hours for now and then upgrade in 6 months. We see this as a strategy to keep the places licensed. We also think because people are not necessarily familiar on this board with the history of that establishment or the very ironclad agreement, we took months and months for the previous owner to sit down with us, applicant rather, to talk about the space, even though they broke the rules. No DJs, the basement is really important to this community. So we think that these new applicants, including the landlords that are on one application at the State Liquor Authority, but not on this one, should come sit down and really tell us what their idea is. So we think there should have been community outreach. This is one of the most problematic corners in all of Manhattan. And for them not to outreach to the residents and know our group or the residents around that area is a little shocking. And on top of that, there have been complaints. We can forward the emails that Susan received because we were CC'd on them. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Daniel Tanow is next, please.
Thank you. So I just wanted to speak against this licensing of this. Pizza Beach has closed. I don't think it should be a transfer. They should have to come to the community as a completely new application. So it's not, like DM said, we don't believe it's a selling of the business. It's trying to secure a new license. As well as Pizza Beach, even if they were trying to replicate it, was a good restaurant and had good drinks and food until about 10 p.m. And then after that, it became a nightclub. And this has with the license, the application and the questionnaire that was submitted looks like the same type of thing. And that's not a benefit for the community. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. David, I see your hand is up again. Do you have a specific question for the applicant?
Very short comment, because every time we have a community board meeting and it's something that's happening very close to this neighborhood, I do mention all of the problem bars that are in the neighborhood that surround the place. And over and over and over again, I've mentioned Pizza Beach. So for someone to say that there's never been complaints about Pizza Beach, that's someone who's really just not paying attention at all.
Okay, thank you, David. Okay, Susan, do you want to just weigh in on this transfer of assets situation?
People are not complaining. So they're not selling the business. If they were selling the business, that would be a corporate change, and it would be the same business with new owners. What they are doing is selling the assets of the business. They are going to get a brand new license with brand new people and principals. However, they will get, because it's an existing business, they will get an immediate temporary license regardless of what the board does. And while they have that temporary license, they will have to operate under the existing stipulations. Once they get their permanent license, it could be new stipulations. I would also like to say, as far as complaints, I'm talking about the last few years, not in the past. That's why I was trying to say, I believe I've been at police meetings where I've heard that, but if they aren't directly to the office, I don't record them as complaints to the board. So there very well have been many complaints at the meetings, which is not something I would be referring to. I would also mention that it is historically put in the resolutions that this area is saturated with a lot of problems.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Does that answer the questions about transfer new? Is that clear or no? It is a new license. They do have to come to the community board. Everyone has to come to the community board except a corporate change where they're actually buying the business, but the business stays the same. That is not the case here. It is a new business.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Irit?
Yeah, thanks for bringing this to our attention. I live in the neighborhood. I've lived here for over 20 years. This is the most problematic corner in the neighborhood, I would argue, in the entire Lower East Side. I wonder, maybe they're not calls to the office, but maybe there are 311 calls. It'd be interesting to hear the record on 311 calls for this particular entity. Well, I loved Republic and I was a patron of Republic. We don't need more liquor licenses or restaurants with liquor licenses in this neighborhood. There's no community benefit. If we're really going to apply the 500-foot rule, if we're going to be taking that seriously, which I believe we should, otherwise why have it? We shouldn't be accepting new license applications. So I oppose this entity.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble with my headphones if I'm
You
lagging a bit.
want me to speak to what the 500-foot rule entails?
Oh my God.
Please, excuse me, please, please. Okay, Susan, please go ahead.
So the 500-foot rule means that there will be a hearing at the SLA and that residents and the community board can go up and testify. And the applicant will make a finding of why they're a benefit to the community before an administrative law judge. And then that will be a recommendation to the SLA commissioners. It seems, or it sounds like people think that the community board could say, no, you can't have a license because of that. We make a recommendation, but that may or may not impact the 500-foot hearing.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, Nora.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Nora. I'm a member of the Suffolk Street Block Association and a longtime attendee of these meetings. And yeah, just to echo what Reed said, and when all of us were at the, you know, when they introduced the Nightlife Advisory Board and we would talk about the 500-foot rule, what happens is we keep getting these explanations of what the 500-foot rule is. We know what the 500-foot rule is. Why we keep bringing it up is it's so clearly ignored at every juncture. It is shocking to us that we have this same conversation and lose so many of these battles over and over and over again, where how many articles need to be written about Hell Square? How many, right, that this guy is like, no complaints to about Pizza Beach. Are you kidding? Like Pizza Beach is like a, you know, was a buzzword in our neighborhood for problems. And also this kind of obfuscation, sorry, I can never conjunct that word, you know, about like where these complaints go. We are all aware of these complaints. Let's not insult each other by going over what is very, very obvious. Corporate interests have taken over the Lower East Side. This person, in conjunction with the landlord and whatever is happening with this transfer or non-transfer and how they'll get to operate until they get a full license. It's all, is this a community board or a corporate board? We really need to decide, because another license should not be given in this neighborhood, which is, you know, we all live here for many 30 plus years. It's, you know, overrun with bars and restaurants. Thank you.
Did you hear what Susan said before? She
Nora.
said that either way, they probably will get the ruling. So if you understand the rule, clearly you don't.
No, clearly I do. Please.
We don't have this
Really?
If you understand the rule, then why?
Why
Sorry.
don't we have the rule?
Sorry, I'm gonna ask that folks not speak out of turn. I'm going to turn to the committee now because I believe that everyone from the community has had their round of opportunity to speak. Paul, you can unshare the screen so I can see the, thank you so much. Okay, so.
Hello?
Okay, sorry, I don't know who that was. All right, so from the committee, I think we've heard from the community what they feel. Does anyone have any additional thoughts or questions? I see David Crane's hand is up. We can't hear you. David, we can't hear you still. Well, I can't quite tell what your gesticulations are meaning, but does anyone else on the committee want to speak on this while David sorts out his audio problem?
Now?
Yes.
There you go. Thank you. There you go.
All right. All right. I was saying go on to someone else. Yeah, I don't really speak sign language. I just do hand signals. Yeah, I would ask the community not to get too overwrought about complaints saying they're not on. We know that this is the worst location in Manhattan, and I would love to be able to fix it. So I guess it's this game that you have to play with the SLA to see where you get influence. They're saying that the license that they're asking for would end at midnight. I do know that restaurants that are open way late, especially down there, become nightclubs. Do the community residents think that the midnight end of license, which means that the restaurant really has to be closing its doors and shutting down before then, do you think it's going to become a problem? Or do you think that the midnight closing of the license is going to help? I guess I should direct that at
Kind of a
Michelle.
rhetorical question for us.
A resident or two, what they feel about the midnight closing. Is that going to help them or not?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have the same feeling about the 12 a.m. That seems like a pretty good outcome for this corner. I'm not sure if any other committee members have a position on that closing hour. And Paul, I'm sorry, I muted you before by accident. I apologize. Fat fingers.
Fine.
If you wanted to say anything else.
No.
Okay.
It's a good thing
Anyone else from the committee?
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hi. This is
applicant?
Jonathan Moore. I'm one of the owners of this new restaurant. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just figured out how to speak into this.
Go ahead.
I just want to talk a little bit about the restaurant. This is definitely a restaurant we're talking about. It's not a club or a nightclub or even a bar. And we're solely focused on food, on healthy food, quality food. It's a casual restaurant. We're not necessarily, obviously, we're looking for a liquor license, but we're not necessarily, about liquor. Our cocktails, for example, will be healthy cocktails that could also become mocktails, which means cocktail without alcohol. So it's not, we're asking for 12 a.m. closing time. We have no intention of staying open beyond that. And it's really a restaurant. It's not about loud music. It's not about crowds. It's just focused on healthy food, which we believe the neighborhood could actually benefit from.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. And in terms of 311 calls, I know I sent this around to the committee. We pulled all of commercial noise complaints, and it looks like there actually haven't, since 2019, there have been 10, either with no evidence of the violation or took action to fix the condition, or determined that police action was not necessary. So I think it's pretty known. We all know that corner is really difficult. I'm just sort of, I think of the mind, and I don't know what the other committee members are thinking, that a 12 a.m. close is a good outcome here. And given that Jonathan operated Republic, I think you've closed long enough ago that we didn't look at the spaces there, but it's a very different location. I understand that, but I think there are probably a lot of people on this call who are patrons of that restaurant. So Jonathan, I know you just gave us a reassuring, or you tried to reassure some of the concerns. So I don't know, committee members, do you have any other thoughts on this?
I think 12 a.m. is fine.
Okay. Jesse, Herman.
What's your side? what's your seating inside now or will be when these things is all not over, but it's more probably to open the restaurant when you get the authority to do so. How many seats would you expect in your restaurant inside when it's all said and done?
Inside, we're talking about more or less 75 seats.
And do you have a sit-down bar or you serve from the table?
There is a sit-down bar with 10 stools, I believe. Hold on. Yes.
Yeah, it's an existing bar that more or less will stay exactly the same, that has 10 seats. Now, the seats are actually mounted to the floor. So, you know, people can move around and there's no option to add more seats. So we're really maxing it with whatever we have, which is 10.
And I just want you to reiterate the fact in terms of your music, you just sort of skip over it. What's the type of music that you intend to operate in the establishment?
You know, it's background music. It's not loud music. We'll never have, it's not loud music. We'll never have live music there. We don't have DJs. It's just, you know, all this is really not part of our concept at all. You know, as I said before, we're focused on it's Asian cuisine. It's mostly noodles, not necessarily expensive, focused on healthy. Even our bar, the way it's designed right now, you know, you're not going to see bottles of liquor at all on the bar. The design will actually be a lot more graphic in terms of what's going on in the shelves. You know, we'll try to display, you know, the fruits and the ingredients that go into our cocktails and into our drinks. So it's not the typical bar that you would expect at a restaurant, or definitely not at a bar. Now, if I may just add one more thing that's quite interesting, that used to happen at Republic, which was located in Union Square. For some reason, I mean, it was a very successful restaurant. It was there for 22 years and it was very busy. But for some reason at 10:30 p.m., it almost emptied out every single night. So hopefully that's not going to repeat itself here, but it just shows the concept is not about drinking. It's really about people that are coming in for a good meal, a quality meal, not expensive. And, you know, it's relatively fast. I mean, our average stay was about 45 minutes. So it's not about people sitting and partying and drinking. It's not about that. You know, the food is relatively inexpensive. I would say that, you know, a main course is maybe $2 or $3 more than a cocktail. So, you know, people are not going to sit there and have 5 cocktails that will cost them 5 times more than the meal. So again, it's not about that. We're really a fast casual, call it restaurant.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Let me follow up with one more, Michelle.
Go ahead.
Would it be the kind of establishment that you have to have guards in the door? So
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Following up on the community concern about the previous amount of people that either hang around the place or whatever, is it the type of operation that you have to have securities?
You know, I would hope not. I don't think that's, you know, again, it's not to repeat myself, but it's not that type of a restaurant. It doesn't call for, you know, parties or, you know, our seating is also limited. We have, for the most part, it's all, you know, long benches and banquettes. So even if we want to, we don't have the options to, you know, add seats or add tables or add chairs. So I really don't see that as a problem.
Thank you, Herman. Actually, Jonathan, can I ask you, what years did you operate Republic, the original one?
The original Republic opened in 1995 and it closed 2018.
Okay, so
Actually, 3 years ago, so 2017, I would say.
okay,
Our
22
lease was
years.
up, and yeah.
Okay. David Crane, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so there was the community discussion. I'm not clear on whether the basement operation was at this location, like at a previous licensee. If it was at this location, that occurrence, then is the current method of operation written so that there could be no, looks to me, I read through it, the method of operation that they're applying with would not allow basement usage. So I guess it's a two-part thing. Was the community talking about this location? And if so, does this current application prevent that from happening?
No, because the basement, as we have it, is seating, and that's where the kitchen is. If you look at the diagram, that's with the application. So we intend on having seating in the basement and on the first floor as a restaurant, completely as a restaurant, all areas to close by 12 o'clock. There is no bar in the basement. The bar is only on the first floor.
Okay, I'm looking at it now. I didn't realize that that's what I just kind of scrolled past the diagrams.
And there's no DJ involved. There's no live music. It's only background music.
Yeah, also the downstairs, it's an open kitchen. So the experience, if anything, will be, again, it's a food experience. It's being part of the kitchen, looking at the preparation of the food. As Terry said, there's no bar. So, once again, it's not necessarily about that.
Okay, I understand that. I guess I'm feeling conflicted because I know the old place and it was like an oh my God moment when you'd walk by at night. This does sound like a completely different establishment. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, David.
I think one of the big differences were, and I understand that people were concerned if we were trying to do something we aren't, but if that was the case, we would have kept the later hours that were in the current stipulation. We're only operating till midnight, and that's why we put it in here that we're only operating to midnight. It is going to be a restaurant. That's what Jonathan does, and other than repeating that several times to you, I don't know what else we can do other than to assure you that that's exactly what it is, a restaurant with background music.
If I can just add one more thing. We also own a restaurant called Bond Street. It's a Japanese restaurant located on Bond Street. And it's on 3 floors. And we have on the ground floor, which is a half basement floor, we have a bar lounge. And if I'm not mistaken, our liquor license goes on until 2 a.m., maybe more. But I close it at 1. It's not the kind of business we're in, and it's not the kind of business I'm personally interested in. I don't want to be home and worry about what happens in my establishments at 2 o'clock in the morning. So even we have the opportunity to stay open later, and we just don't, and we never did from day one. We just never max the hours that we are allowed to.
Is this two all nights? I'm just getting it on the record. Is the hours is for every day?
Did 12 o'clock closing hours, Herman? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yes, that's 12 o'clock, 7 days a week. The only difference is which we changed now, we're going to put no later than 5 p.m. opening, which gives us the ability to open earlier for lunch.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the committee have any questions or comments?
Good.
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna take a straw poll here about how we're feeling. If you just raise your hand if you're feeling okay with the current stipulations as presented to us. You guys raise your hand. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So it seems like everyone's pretty much on the same page, but we'll just have to write a resolution that's, oh, David, is your hand up? Do you want to speak?
Sorry, I rose the wrong place.
No, you're good.
Oh, no, it's still up. It's up. You
I
tell me.
got it. I got you. Don't worry about it. Okay. Okay. So let's write the resolution then. So I think that the main points that we need to hit is that whereas the previous operator did not abide by its stipulations, especially leaving the doors and windows open late at night, whereas and they use the basement for parties. Whereas there was significant community concerns about the previous tenant, whereas this area is saturated with full on-premises liquor licenses. Whereas the applicant operated Republic on Union Square West from 1995 to 2017. Whereas seating in the basement whereas the basement will be used for restaurant seating with an open kitchen and will not have a bar. I would then go into the therefore be it resolved that we would recommend the denial unless they agree to the stipulations. Did I make the motion correctly, David, to move into writing the resolution?
Yeah, that sounds good. We're now.
Okay, great.
The motion.
Do any of the committee members have any additions they'd like to make? Or any amendments they'd like to make? Herman?
I know just say, did we say the number of the opposition or the people who came to speak against it and who speak for it?
I don't think you mean the number, not the people's names, right?
No, not the people's names, no.
Yeah, okay. So like, I think that there were like 6 people. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. Were 6 members of the community that expressed concerns about the previous tenant. I don't believe that there was anyone who came to speak in favor.
I mean, they also, they spoke not just about the previous tenant, about having any liquor license there at all was, an expressed concern. It's just, like it being oversaturated.
Not the entire establishment.
Yeah, having a license period was a concern. It's a concern of mine. I just realistically, I don't know what would happen if we were to, let's say, deny this. There's perhaps no liquor license operating there now. They would get one for 6 months as a temporary license while it goes through the SLA process. I believe that if we say deny, SLA will approve something.
It's a deny unless.
Well, I know that, Carmen. So deny unless, but I'm saying just a flat out deny. What if we were to do that?
Then
Would
you
we
get
realistically
then you
stop
get
there being
4A
licensed? No.
license.
I don't think we're there, right?
I don't think so.
How would you deny it though? I mean, if it's up to 12, it's fine.
Well, because there's no license there now, and there's a whole lot of damn licenses on that block. Those
They
blocks.
said they're getting a transfer. Did they say that it was a transfer?
Yes, can I please correct
But
some?
there
There
is
is a license. There is a license here. It's in safekeeping right now with the state authority and is valid through the middle of 2021.
So when people didn't want me to explain the transfer, that's part of what a transfer is. There is a license there.
There's a license there.
It is a licensed establishment. It is a 4 a.m. licensed establishment.
They're cutting it down to 12 with a good business. So I think it's okay, especially in that corner.
Could we mention somewhere in there, Michelle, about the 500-foot rule? I don't know where it goes in there, but
You really shouldn't put that in the reso. That's part of SLA law.
shouldn't? Okay.
Okay. Okay, so does the committee want to make any other amendments?
No.
Okay. Hearing no other objections or discussion, I will move into a vote. Did I get a thumbs up there? Okay. Ellen Liu. Alex Militano. Jesse Beck.
Yes.
Herman Hewitt.
Yes.
Paul Sierros.
Yes.
David Crane.
Yes.
Michelle Cooper Smith. Yes. Okay. Thank you all very much for coming here tonight. The office will send you the stipulations tomorrow morning that you will need to get notarized and return to them. Although maybe I've been saying the notarization and that's not something we actually need to do during COVID. I've tried to get things notarized, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But I think if you're an attorney and you're you're a notary, it's a lot easier than for me to get it done. So thank you guys very much for coming and hearing the community's concerns. And, you know, of course, I encourage you to continue working with them going forward if there are any. And I say the same thing to the community, that you should go, you know, speak to the applicants and the operators if you have any issues.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, David, should we have a final before we close, because we're closing I don't, oh, actually, is anyone from Trapizzino here, number 7?
I'd make a motion to deny for non-appearance.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Susan, in terms of language here, should we just do motion to deny because of
Just do deny to non-appearance. What will probably happen is we'll call them tomorrow. They'll give some explanation and go back on the agenda. So if you do deny to non-appearance, that's all you need.
Okay. Okay, thank you. David, should we have a final roll call vote?
Your meeting
before we go into the public session though?
No, at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Let me just do this 1 second. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you for all the applicants for coming. We will now move into a public session. As I indicated at the beginning of the meeting, we are having this public session that each community member can have 2 minutes to speak on whatever item they choose. Paul Rangel will be running the timer during this time, just so the speaker knows how much time they have left. I have spoken in an LPC hearing the other day where the woman used a iPhone timer and it was very hard to know how much time I had left. So I appreciate this way that we do it. Okay, so if you could put up your hands if you'd like to speak during the public session, I will start calling on folks. Okay, I see Daniel Tano is first.
Thank you, and welcome to this committee, Michelle. I don't perchance have a problem with the change in leadership, and today you showed to run a good meeting, and everybody took the comments from the community very well. I just want to express that if the community, I do work with the dwellers, but I'm also just a resident on Rivington Street, are especially in Health Square, from Houston down to Delancey and Essex to Allen, do not want the LES partnership, the Business Improvement District, to ever have pre-sorting of the liquor licenses. If you're looking for help with looking at the liquor licenses ahead of time, please call on us, the community. We're happy to help you. And thank you. That's all I wanted to say for tonight.
Thank you, Daniel. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay, next person I see is Brian Lewis.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's Brian Lewis. I'm the community liaison from the Office of Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer for Community Board 3. Good to be here tonight. I just wanted to quickly let everybody know that we are in the middle of the Community Board application process. So if you are interested, please do apply. I will put a link in the chat. Although right now I don't seem to have the ability to do that for everybody, but I will drop a link in the chat and feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. If you want to spend your evenings doing this, please apply. Okay, next person I see with their hand up is Nora from Suffolk Street.
Hi, thanks again. I'm so upset about being told not to complain in my last. I'm really upset. I'm gonna cry, actually. Do you think this is complaining? I'm so offended by the condescension of that comment. Whatever the leadership change is, it sounds like people were contacted with and were surprised at the changes. That's not okay with me at all. If there's no reasonable notice, removal from the board and from the chairmanship of the community board, that seems like really shady to me. And the bid, you know, we have fought against the bid hard. And yeah, I think that there is a lot of concern that the new direction is in, you know, removing the public. Exactly, like don't complain, remove the public. You know, if we keep giving liquor licenses to people, other businesses will not come in. There are lots of reasons to not approve more liquor licenses. That went through with no problem. Midnight, it doesn't matter. What it means is there's no other business going to come. It's more nightlife, it's more hospitality, which is a huge lobby in New York, as we know. So don't tell me, hey, if the community could not complain, midnight is a pretty good result. A bookstore is a pretty good result. I am sick of every business being a restaurant and a bar. And if the new direction is more friendly, just like the Nightlife Advisory Board and another license holder being put on the board, you know, we're not stupid. I'm really upset. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Okay, I see Laura Sewell is the next person with her hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. The main thing that I want to say, I'm a little unprepared. I didn't realize that this would be discussed this evening. So I just want to share with the committee that I have never received the volume of phone calls and emails from concerned residents about anything that I have about this change. I feel like I have a good working relationship with Community Board 3. I understand, I've spent the weeks explaining that the chair has every right to make this decision, but you do need to know that it has caused great concern and even outrage among many residents who are very concerned about already how they feel they're being treated by the city throughout the whole pandemic. And how they are treated in general as a nuisance by some operators. We have a lot of wonderful operators who work really well and are excellent neighbors, but we all know that it's not always the case, and it's frequently not the case. So I'm looking for an assurance from this committee that they will, going forward, adhere to the policy that was publicly adopted by CB3 in a series of town halls during Dominic Berg's tenure. And that if it's going to change, that we would like to have public input on that in a public forum. I hope that, that's really all I have to say. It's been a rough couple of weeks. People are very anxious. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. And just as a reminder, that public session does not have discussion. So we will listen to all of your comments and we appreciate all of them. Okay, next person is DM Boyd.
To echo was just said, lots of residents are very upset and very concerned about what happened in basically the dark of the night, it feels like. And I hope that just because you're tacking this onto this meeting tonight, that there's going to be a bigger public forum to discuss this, because I do not think transparency or democracy has prevailed in this situation. And we got a taste tonight of the direction that we feel that it's going, especially in our area. Under the leadership of Coleman, and the need for the bid to be such an integral part of the process is very problematic for us. We've stressed to you, we've got to prove that we're gonna have to do it, I guess, outside of the context of the community board, because you're not listening to us about the landlords in this area and what they're doing, a concerted effort with the bid to make sure these places stay licensed. But that's on you. We're pretty much right about the patterns that begin to happen and have happened in this area. We think that this was an unfair unfair to the people that were fired, and the public was not, was not allowed to weigh in or even know about what was going on. And we see again the same patterns that always continue to happen under Susan Stetzer, where she has very, very
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go on to David Troutman, please.
Hi, thank you. It seems like Jim got cut off there for some reason. I didn't hear everything that she had said. But when this issue
I was muted by her.
I just asked that everyone be respectful of everyone who's on this meeting. So David, if you'd like to go ahead, thank you.
Yeah, sure. When this issue of the bid first came up, I recall going to the meeting. It was over on 5th Street. And I remember 26 people from the community all showed up to speak very strongly in opposition to this idea that the bid could take over the liquor license application process. And I had never seen that many people speak up at any SLA committee meeting before. So it's just very concerning to see that after so many people have said that, no, this was a very bad idea, that there's still an idea that this is still being entertained. Thank you. I have plenty more to say about it, but I think that covers the gist of it. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, next person who has their hand up is Hope Beach. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I think I'll speak for myself and on behalf of the Orchard Street Block Association that we do not want the bid to have anything to do with the licensing. And as you remember from this summer, I was the person that went and had a conversation with the gentleman from the bid around them even taking over one more block of Orchard Street below Delancey. So that's one thing. And I guess, we're just really interested to see like, what does change of direction mean? I was pleased to see that there were some places that were licensed at 12 p.m. I think that's a huge step forward. As you can see, the one business that showed up tonight that already has a 4 a.m. license, AKA Bar Belly, has significant opposition as a bad operator in our neighborhood. When 40 people show up to oppose one person, I think that tells you where the community stands with some of these late night businesses. And I think, if you're accepting community input into what the new direction is, it should be not only around vetting every person who comes before you, but being a bit more of a presence in like, what are we actually going to do as a community to curb some of these bad operators? Because in the absence of the COVID-19 pandemic, all of the people who got slapped on the wrist with their licenses suspended would have been operating till 4 a.m. with no respect for the neighborhood ongoingly and coming to the board for more and more licenses. So, that is my main concern as a resident. I moved to Orchard Street 15 years ago. There wasn't one licensed establishment between Delancey and Canal, and now just look how many are there. And it's just like a feeding frenzy. So I hope the direction is to curb that. And like the other woman said, look at what we could do to have more businesses that aren't licensed in our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Hope. Okay, I see Judith from 9th Street as next. You can go ahead.
Who's the place before Dudley's?
Thank you. I would like to support what Laura Sewell said as a member, a longtime resident of the community, I am concerned about the abruptness with the changes on the, not only on the SLA subcommittee, but on the arts. I know I'm not calling it the right thing. And that seems to me disrespectful to members of the community, even if it is within a legal process. I also agree with everyone else that the SLA and we as the community should be the people making the decisions about licensing, not the bid, which is supported by the same people who are applying for the permits for the most part, for the licenses. I was at the meeting, the 5th Street meeting that David referred to, and we didn't know about it. And in an hour or an hour and a half, we managed to turn out 26 people who were opposed to the idea of the bid. I think with more time, we could have turned out more presents. I am hopeful that the manner in which the committee was conducted tonight is an indication that the committee will listen to the community and will be respectful to us, because we have always tried to be respectful to the community board who represents us. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. I have the same middle name as your first name. Tamara Daly, I see, is the next person with their hand if you'd like to go.
Hi, my name is Tamara. I'm with the Orchard Street Block Association. I'm just going to piggyback on the things that Hope, Yem, Nora, and several other people were speaking about regarding the abrupt changes. We've been getting a lot of communication from our members in the neighborhood, residents, very concerned. They're worried about the business interests taking an even larger role in the community board, which is supposed to be a place where the community has a seat at the table and gets heard and has our input put into the decisions that are being made that affect us as families who lived here, some of us for many, many decades. And we don't have the luxury of moving out when it gets saturated with nightlife businesses and no other kinds of businesses in our neighborhoods where we live. We don't have that luxury. We don't have the country house maybe. And I think it's really important to understand that people are feeling some type of way about the nature of the changes, on the timing of the way that it was done. And I'm hoping that there will be a larger discussion about this so that more people can be involved, can hear, and there can actually be a dialogue, not just us given 2 minutes to sort of vent about how we feel about this and no response or no discussion. I don't really think that's helpful. I don't feel that helps the community feel good or feel secure about the new direction, which actually we don't know what that new direction is. We're very concerned. We're very confused. We don't, what is, it seems like the new direction is going towards the bid and even more support of business interests. And that's a concern. We don't want that.
Thank you, Tamara. Okay, Irit, you are the next person I see with their hand up if you'd like to start.
Yep, thanks so much. I just want to echo everybody's distress at this untransparent process. And I want to, I think it's really incredibly disrespectful of the volunteers who serve on the community board. And I'm personally really shocked that other community members would come into and take over this committee in the way it was handled. So while you've held the meeting
very nicely. It's not about that. It's about taking on a role where somebody was dismissed during a holiday, during the pandemic, in the most untransparent of manners. It's offensive. It's offensive. As a community member, I feel deeply offended. I would also like to congratulate Ms. Militano, who over the years that I've been participating in this committee has done an impeccable job. She brings an impeccable professionalism and historical knowledge of the neighborhood and the licenses and things that have happened. And honestly, I'm really sorry to see her go. So I'd like to add that as well. But I do think that we need to have more light into this new direction, and who's driving this new direction. Is the new direction being driven by business owners, by individuals who have too much power, or should the new direction of this community be driven by community members themselves? I just want to continue to reiterate that the community is not for the bid pre-screening liquor license applications. They have no role in that. It's a conflict of interest. It should be with the community. If the community, if there's a lack of willingness or energy on behalf of the committee members to pre-screen, then it should be opened up to community members to assist. I saw that. Why did the clock go from one? Okay.
Thank you, Arit. Yeah. Okay, Deanne, would you like to take the remainder of your 30 seconds?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for allowing me to have my 30 seconds back. I won't mention Susan's name. That seems to be the issue, but I want to stress very clearly that people are very, very concerned about the process. And to echo what Arit said, we appreciate what both Clint and Alex did for the many years they spent on this board. And the incredible wealth of knowledge that Alex has and had about the licenses in this area. We cannot, I'm going to stress this, have the bid be involved in this process. That's the bottom line. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanne. Okay, Carol Kostick, would you like to go next, please?
Okay. Hi. Hi, I'm Carol Kostick. I was on the community board for a bunch of years, and I served on the SLA committee. So being with you tonight brings back all sorts of memories. I really wanted to just make two quick points at this moment based on the open letter from the SLA committee members that I saw. The first is about Alex. We were not always on the same page by any means, but there was never any question how dedicated she was to the good of the community, how hard she worked, and how much she wanted to make the SLA committee a constructive participant in the life of our neighborhood. So I do feel her summary dismissal was really disrespectful and unfair in light of her service and what she brought. The second point I want to make is that the policy that we have now, the community board has now, was developed through an extensive open meeting process. There were a series of meetings. People from different points of view spoke, listened to each other, and a policy was put together and synthesized. And if the policy is going to change, and it certainly could change, it needs to happen in the same way. There needs to be a very open, transparent, public process with lots of input, lots of notice to people, and a final policy that balances the different interests. And I will say to everyone on the committee, your life will be much better if you have a clear policy that everyone has gone through a process of developing. And if not consensus, at least there's been a process that people feel is fair and comprehensive, so that when the committee goes to implement it, it can be guided by a publicly developed policy. So that's my recommendation to you and to the community board. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, and thanks for all of your time spent on the community board. You understand our time commitment here. Okay, AF, I believe, would like to go next. If you could just
Annette,
actually say your full name.
Can you hear
so we
me?
can have for the notes. Yes.
Yeah, my name is Annette. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I basically echo what other people have said, but I want to make three important points. we do need to support other businesses besides alcohol. And the bid used to do that. They don't do that anymore. They really are all about the bars. Residents are suffering. Susan, we've had a trillion conversations. I send you emails all the time. You know what has been going on here in COVID times, especially. Even some of the good bars just went crazy out of their mind and became out of control. It is a nightmare here. If I could leave, I want to move so badly, but I absolutely cannot afford to. I want to make another point about the bid. I'm completely opposed to the bid having anything to do with this. I had one, as you know, I've had a lot of issues with Dudley's. I had one time when somebody pointed out to me that the open streets, not the open restaurants, this is pre-COVID, that they were serving alcohol and smoking, which was not allowed. I contacted the bid. They said to me, well, you're the only one complaining. And I said, well, somebody else actually pointed it out to me. I'll have them call you. And when that person called them, they literally said to them, oh, we're not taking your complaint. Annette told you to call us. Okay, so they are not, they won't even accept the complaint. First they tell me I'm the only one, and then they won't accept the complaint. Okay, and then the last thing is we have a serious enforcement issue here, as you know, and there should be nothing else allowed here until we could have some enforcement. I am now dealing, I have 9/11, I had 9/11 related lung cancer, and I probably have cancer again now. Over the last 9 months, Emma Peel and all these other bars smoking underneath my window, smoking in the outdoor restaurants, in the open restaurants. And now I probably have cancer again, and I am waiting to have surgery until I can have a vaccine. Meanwhile, they're still smoking out there, and I cannot get anyone to stop them. I have put in complaints. They have responded that they've warned them. The NCOs know, everybody knows, the owners know. And we can't get any enforcement down here. It's out of control. That is unacceptable for me to have to go through this because people are smoking under my window for the last 9 months, especially more than ever before.
Thank you, Annette. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? I don't see any other hands up. Okay, sorry, I don't see your full name, but S. Szymanski.
Hi, Stuart Zamsky from the East Fifth Street Block Association. I think you can see that many people here are somewhat unprepared to speak on this subject because it was not on the agenda, which it should be. It was one of the most eventful things to happen for this committee in a long time. I don't understand why it wouldn't have just been put on the agenda and the community notified. It seems to me that this really is a policy change or the beginning of one. It's a personnel change, and there is a reason for that. It's a shame that the community does not know the reason for that. The CB chair said that there was going to be another direction that this committee was headed in. We want to know what that direction is. We want to know why Alexandra Militano was not qualified to pursue that direction. And we want to know why you, Michelle, are qualified to pursue that direction. And why was it done not in with no public forum, no one able to put input? You know, I am late to the game with this bid, but if it's been suggested that the committee is overwhelmed, if the committee is overwhelmed with work, then form a second committee and put it between two committees. You have plenty of people on the community board. You can have another committee if you're overwhelmed. We don't need the bid to do our governmental work. And finally, I feel like a lot of this is being led by our DM, Susan Stetzer. And it is my understanding.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. You're at your 2 minutes. I appreciate your comments. Okay, I see Pam Ito is next, if you'd like to start.
Hi there. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to just note that a bunch of people have called and have reached out just saying the same exact thing, that we're kind of all like a little exhausted with COVID, and that we're just wondering, like, you know, what is the basis of the change, and we just want to know how that affects us and the, you know, getting future licenses for this area. We do feel like it's, if at all possible, and the committee being overwhelmed as it is, that we could maybe limit how many licenses we would even hear on a regular basis. You know, say people can only sign up, and once there's 10 slots filled, that's it, or 5 slots filled, that's it for the month. I do feel concerned about how this change is going to affect residents, because residents already feel like, you know, how can our community support another bar? Or even how can we reduce, even if we reduce the bars by half, how can we still survive and kind of make it through and have a healthy, livable community? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you so much.
Uh-oh. Shoot.
I believe Michelle's battery just died. I think she's trying to get herself charged back up.
Yeah, in the meantime, she wants to know if Alicia will want to.
Thank you, Herman. Sorry, I'm using my
Maybe.
AirPods and they keep on running out of batteries. Alicia, would you, like, you raised your hand, would you like to take their 2 minutes?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. And I think that there has been such miscommunication on this new direction and the bid and all of these things and the language that people are using. I never mentioned anything about the bid to Alex when I had the very private conversation. I was following proper protocol when I had the conversation with Alex. And as far as the new direction was concerned, it was about leadership direction. It was about her having been, I ultimately gave her great respect and thanked her for her service. And yes, the direction of leadership was what I spoke about. We have new committee members. They get appointed every year. People have to have an opportunity to grow in leadership. And if someone has been in power for 19 years, yes, we give them respect in that position. But however, we have term limits on the community board that was offered in the city charter. Yes, term limits are going to hit us all, and we all going to need to move on. I asked for Alex to please help with the transition to get another leader. This was a decision she made to not want to do that. I did not do that. This was a decision I asked her to please step down and I would appoint Michelle. She asked me who it would be and I said, Michelle, please assist her, work with her. No one asked her to leave. I didn't ask Clint to leave. These are decisions that people make on their own. As far as the community is concerned, you're always going to have an input. I live in this community. I don't just work here, I live here. I lived here all of my life. So why would I not include my community in anything that I do? Please don't take a direction that doesn't have to be taken. If there's conversations that need to be had, we're going to always have the door open for community members to have those conversations. Thank you so much for your time tonight, for coming out tonight and voicing your opinion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Wow, right under 2 minutes. That's skillful. Okay, I do not see any other hands up, so I'm going to close the public session for now. Oh, sorry, Carol. Is there another Carol Pooter? Are you clapping?
Yes,
Is that
that's
hand up?
me.
Okay, go ahead.
Carol Poutre Chairs. I'm a member of the East 5th Street Block Association and also a Barry Alliance of Neighbors. I'd like to read a letter from David Mulkin, the president of the Barry Alliance of Neighbors. The removal of Alexandra Militano from chair of CB3's SLA committee is breathtakingly irresponsible and shows contempt for the community. As a sharp legal expert and skilled mediator between the residents and business community, she was always thorough and fierce in pursuit of the often complex, difficult issues represented in these applications. She has not always ruled in the way I might like, but I have always respected her professionalism and ability to give clear, articulate explanation for the decisions that she and her committee have given. She has been a real asset to this community and should be reinstated as chair of the CB3 SLA committee. And I personally would just like to say, I have a real problem. I really feel like the BID will be handing out liquor licenses like Halloween candy. And I would really like someone to address the community face to face and totally explain what the new direction is. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, I see one more hand and I'm going to close the public session because we're almost at 9:30. Michael Marino, you like your 2 minutes? Go ahead.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I just want to say that I don't think it's fair for us to be putting words in Alexandra Militano's mouth since she's not in this meeting and not able to defend herself. So while I respect what the chair said about Alex and her decision, that's all hearsay, just as much as what I'm about to say is hearsay. Because what I understand from Alex is that Alex made a very generous offer to stay on for the remainder of her term and train you as the new chair so that you would be prepared to take over SLA, and then Alex would willingly step down. And she was told no, she was being replaced immediately. So again, let's get our facts straight and our story straight before we put words in people's mouths. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, I'm going to close the public session now. If we were in before times, we'd be getting kicked out of the building, I think, for any other committee meetings. So, okay, so David, can I do we need a motion to adjourn?
No. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Anyone second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
All in favor of that.
I'm sorry?
We have a final vote, so we should do the final vote.
Okay, well,
This would be
I'll
it.
do the final roll call vote. Yeah. Okay. Ellen Liu. Alex Militano. Jesse Beck.
Yes.
Herman Hewitt.
Yes.
Paul Sierros.
Yes.
David Crane.
Yes.
Michelle Cooper Smith. Yes. Okay. Now are we supposed to do the motion to adjourn? Did I skip that, David? Did I do it wrong?
I thought it was that, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much to the committee members who came tonight to support the community. I look forward to seeing you all again here on Wednesday.
Thanks all.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Have a good night.